Everyone, how are you? So today I'm going to be talking about graying up coloring pages. And I became inspired to do this after working on this watercolor painting. Well, it's not painting, it's a coloring page, but I painted with watercolor pencils, the Cezanne watercolor pencils. Very happy with the results. And so whether you're using watercolor or regular color pencil, I'm going to show in this video using color pencil grays with Black Widow pencils how you can really make your coloring page or drawing or whatever you're working on, make it really look so much more realistic and give it more, a shade, improving the shading and making it look more realistic, perhaps. So in this example, on the left-hand side is the Kraken that I colored in. And I just used on his body there just the one blue-green color. And you can see there's some lighter parts and then darker parts, but it was all with just the green pencil. I didn't use anything else there, really. A little bit of red on top on his fins or whatever, but that's it. And I wanted to create more depth with him, but I didn't want to add more green pencil because then he would have just all turned dark green, right? Because you can already see in the darker areas, that's the green got really dark when I added more and more, but I didn't want him to be all dark. I wanted to keep him having lighter, you want the highlights, right? You want the highlights, excuse me, the midtones and the shading. So then the next thing I did is after this completely dried, I went over it again with gray. I used some gray watercolor pencils and colored on top of it. And one of the things you might worry about with using gray is you're worried that you're going to turn your whole drawing gray and you don't want to have this big gray mess, right? But in reality, as you can see on the right-hand side, that when you add gray, it doesn't turn your picture, your drawing that you've colored in already gray. It doesn't turn the color gray. It tones it down, but it's still the same color, right? It doesn't change the color. It just deepens it and gives you more subtle shading and makes it look more three-dimensional, right? It makes it look more realistic, gives it more oomph. And I really felt that it was such a powerful transformation in this one example to show that, to keep in mind to use those grays, right? Those gray pencils that you get in your set. Because we all know with the professional pencil sets like Prismacolor, Polychromos, and all the rest, you do get a lot of gray shades, and there is a learning curve to, well, do I use the warm gray or the dark gray? And the general rule of thumb is that if you're using warm colors, yellow, red, uh, orange, that you use warm gray. And if you're using cool toned colors, the blues, bluish purples, bluish greens, then you use the cool tones. And not all living things, general warm grays, warm tone grays you could use. But I wouldn't stress too much about using warm or gray. Whatever you feel is the right shade, just you could test it out ahead of time. You're not sure, just to be sure. 'Cause sometimes you have cooler reds and warmer reds and warmer greens that are yellow greens. Then you have the cooler greens, so it can be a little. So just trying it out and testing it out ahead of time is a great idea, just to be sure. Now I'm going to be using my Black Widow set here. I can see my little swatch sheet. And Black Widow gives you a large number of grays as well. Black Widow is like, it gives you all these funny names, so it's not. Well, I think there is. Is there a warm gray here? No, see, it doesn't give you cool or warm in this set. They do that with the Prismacolor and I believe the Polychromos and others, but this one with the Black Widow is a little trickier. You sort of have to look at the grays and know the difference, like, what the warmer gray versus the cooler grays look like if you're familiar with them already. But like I said, I wouldn't stress about it. It's not going to be the end of the world if, one gray doesn't give you the result you want. Just try the other gray, Warmer grays are generally more brownish looking, a little bit lighter, I think, than the cool grays are more like metal, like silver, more artificial looking. So I'm going to just be using these Black Widow grays. I'm not going to worry too much about whether it's warm or gray here in this particular drawing. And I am back to working on my Mythomorphia book by Kirby Rosen's here. And I am working hard to finish this book, and I'm on my way. I'm getting there. I'm getting there. All right, so this picture, let me see if I can pull back a little bit. I don't know if, okay, that should be good. So this picture I pretty much colored in already with Black Widow pencils. And I've used some orangey reds for the chains and greens for his body. And I did use a little bit of the grays already on his, what do you want to call this? The I don't know what it's called. I want to say necklace. I know it's not a necklace. The things around his shoulders and his metal pieces there. I made them gray. So now that I've done all these different shades of greens on him. I've done a bunch of shades of green and orangey reds, and I'm just going to go in with the grays now and see if using grays can transform him like the Kraken. Will it work? Can we transform this guy? Make him look more impressive and three-dimensional? Some of the names do help you, like gunmetal is obviously more of a cool gray. Like I was saying, the cool colors are more like metal colors. Spider web, which is a natural thing, it's that's more of a warm gray. I'm gonna go for looking for a light, medium, dark gray here. So I'm thinking for the dark, I'm gonna go with the cobblestone. This is more of a yellowy, warmer kind of green. So I'm thinking cobblestone looks like a dark, warm gray to me. So I'm going to be pulling that one out, and I'm going to work with this pencil and see how it goes. And this particular drawing is the Cyclops, called the Cyclops. So here we go. I've got the cobblestone. We're going to get to work on him where I think most of the shading on his face would be. Okay, so now I'm finished, and all I did was go over this picture with gray, that one cobblestone gray. And I think you can perceive the one on the left is before, and on the right is after. And as you can see, he didn't turn gray, and the chains didn't turn gray, but they do look a bit more three-dimensional, look a little bit more realistic, a little more depth. And I could also show you, I also, just to make it clearer, 'cause it's very subtle, and in this one, it's not as striking as the Kraken, but you can see that the version on the right is more looks better, I think. This is particularly on his face and the chains and the ears going back. When you compare them a little bit closer up, you can see that the gray really makes a huge, even though it's kind of subtle, it is a huge difference in, let me make that a little smaller. Trying to zoom in a little bit there. Trying to compare a little closer up there, particularly the ears and lips and everything. Just all the shading looks much more pronounced, and the chains look a little bit more three-dimensional. So it just gives a little bit more weight, a little bit more gravitas maybe to the coloring page. And yeah, so by all means, and all I did was cover everything, and I didn't even do it very carefully. I just sort of, wherever I felt there was shading pushing back, where I wanted to make it look like it was being pushed back. Even the chest area, you can see I added a lot of gray around the chest, and you can see it doesn't change his color. He doesn't turn gray or anything. It just makes him look more three-dimensional. Yeah, so by all means, keep in mind, when you're looking for something to make your picture pop a little bit more, keep in mind that going over with gray just will help really bring out your coloring page. So I hope this helps. Thanks for watching. Take care. Bye bye.